Hi guys, Lucy aka the Watchbox Diaries here. Welcome to my channel. Now, watchmaking tends to lean more towards tradition and aesthetics, and it's actually quite rare to see a brand seeking out technological advancements and new ideas. Step forward, Accutron. The name Accutron means accuracy through electronics. Put the words together, you've got Accutron. So Accutron was previously part of Bulova. The Accutron was actually a release that Bulova produced. It was the first fully electronic watch produced back in the 60s, completely changing the world with the most accurate timekeeping mechanism in over 300 years. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Fast forward to 2020 and Accutron was revived. They continued to innovate. They've actually recently released a watch powered by electrostatic energy, the Space View Evolution. Not only do they like to play around with technology and movements, but they also like to bring an alternative view to their designs as well, including their ladies/dressier watches. I actually have one of those in today. It is the Accutron Legacy. This one in particular is a limited edition with Kool Champagne of Kool the Gang. Remember those? It's a pretty cool design, so I guess we should get into it. So when they were revived, they decided to bring back some of their old classic designs, including this one. So this is a football crosshatch design, aka 565. It's a 34mm piece, keeping in line with their vintage sizing, I think. 12.6mm in thickness, simple three-hand design, stainless steel case, which they're calling silver tone. The movement is labelled as an Accutron Swiss-made 26-door automatic. Absolutely no caliber information. I have been doing a little bit investigating and it looks like an SW-200. There are no timekeeping accuracy details on the website, but if it is based on the SW-200, you're looking at a plus or minus of between 12 and 30 seconds per day. This is more of a vintage design, so it only comes with 30 meters of water resistance. My first like obviously has to be that case. I mean, you cannot deny that that shape is not funky as hell. It is asymmetric, but not in an unbalanced way. Adding that cross-hatching detail and the whole thing just works. Speaking of the crosshatch, my second like has to be the bezel. Now, I'm a fan of details that really play with the light, things that aren't necessarily in your face. This is exactly that. So on the wrist, the design is actually quite subtle, but you get outside, you get it under a bright light, and the way that it creates depth and dimension, it just plays with that light so well in such a complex and interesting way. I appreciate the design of that so much. Not sure how many of you will get this reference, but it reminds me of the spirograph I used to have when I was a kid, in the best way. The really simple brushing on the dial just blends so well with that bezel. It gives subtle texture without it being overwhelming. I do not mind a 4 o'clock crown. I know it's not for everybody, but this one has a little detailing, a little logo on the side of it, so it just adds a little flourish of detail to it, but not too much. You know I'm not a fan of a whole spec sheet on a dial. This has been kept so simple that there's literally just the word Accutron and Swiss made at the bottom, but they put the logo as the 12 o'clock marker. You've got faceted triangles at 3, 6 and 9. The rest of them are double battens. Very simple detailing, but they pick up the light really nicely, and it's just a little additional bit of visual interest. On paper, grey on grey could be very, very boring. However, I think this has got the potential to be an office strap monster. You could go full grey like the British weather, or you could go as bright as you like. Green, orange, pink, fill your boots. I think it'll work on pretty much every colour. So my first gripe is the fact that it has a ghost date position. Now, this watch doesn't have a date, but the crown has a date position. I would just hope that that wouldn't have been the case for a brand like this. As a watchy person, it's not a deal breaker for me. I understand what it is. However, for any non-watchy people out there, it might be a bit confusing. The fact that the manual doesn't let the buyer know that it's a go state position also doesn't help. I'll be honest and say the hands on this aren't my favourite. They just feel a bit disproportionate to the rest of the watch and the indices. Also, the loom is pants. It really is. It just feels like an afterthought. Either don't have it in there and have a solid hand to match the rest of the indices and the second hand, or put more loom on the dial. Otherwise, it's just pretty pointless. I'm slightly contradicting myself with this one because it was one of my likes, but the colourway, the silver on silver, the grey on grey, however you want to word it, can look a bit washed out. I kind of want to flag the collaboration as a bit of a gripe, only because I think the only connection that this watch has with Kool Champagne is the strap options that it comes with, and I'm really not a fan of them. Now, the colourways in their base form would be absolutely fine, they would work perfectly. Except, these ones are glittery. And to top it off, they're a little bit scratchy. Love champagne, love watches, often have them together. But for this collaboration, the fact that there's only the straps that seem to have changed is a little bit disappointing. Overall, I think the Legacy is a beautiful reintroduction to Accutron. The design is so visually interesting. Again, it plays with the light, so big fan of that. Time only, sizing, dress watch, old school, updated, vintage aesthetics, on the money. As I mentioned, I'm kind of unsure about the limited edition collaboration, but the original is basically the same. They produced 600 of these and they ran at around about £1,100. You can still get them online, various usual suspect websites. It's an interesting design with simple heritage vibes and a little twist of modern input in there as well. That is it. That is my Accutron Legacy review done. Now I want to hear from you guys. Have you heard of Accutron before? Obviously, Bulliver's probably more of a prominent brand. What do you think of them? What do you think of this watch? Again, I seem to find the watches that maybe aren't everyone's cup of tea, but are more on the interesting side. So yeah, let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section below. If you've enjoyed my content, do a girl a favour and make sure you do the YouTubey things, feed those algorithm gremlins. Make sure you've given it a like, you've commented, you are subscribed to the channel, and if you want to be notified of my upcoming videos, all you gotta do is click the little bell and YouTube will do its thing. Until next time though, bye!